All right, so everybody knows AI, right? So if I didn't tell you this story, I'm gonna tell you this story real quick because it's frightening to me in a little way. Uh, Last week, Ivy sends me a radio commercial, right? For a client that we have, and she sends it to me, and I listen to it. I'm like, I didn't write that commercial, and I didn't voice that commercial, but it was me, 100%. She had taken a sample of my voice, created this AI radio commercial that I didn't write and didn't voice, and it was 100% me. How frightening is that, anyhow? Joining me now is Chris Mackenzie, former senior communications director at Chamber of Progress, was the communications director to Congresswoman Kendra Horn and Terri Sewell. And he says for college graduates, AI could be detrimental for a job search. Well, the way I look at it, Chris, I could be put out of a job. They don't even need me anymore. They've got a voice sample, they throw in a script, and boom, I exist virtually and I don't even matter anymore. I'm sorry, but that's a little unsettling to me. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be back with you, Steve.
All right, so AI, a lot of good things are possible, but then there's also other concerns. You have concerns for how it's going to negatively impact college graduates. Please explain.
Sure, it's not just college graduates, but those are the folks who are seeing the economic situation deteriorate for first. What we've seen in recent months is a spike in unemployment among recent college grads, up to 5.8%, which is actually unusually high, especially compared with the rest of the workforce, which is seeing much lower unemployment rates. There's not a lot of certainty right now that that is related to AI, but there are some early warning signs that AI's impact could be related to that rise in unemployment.
All right, so here's the deal, though. Throughout American history and world history, advancements in technology have always resulted in people losing their jobs. Always. The cotton gin, there's an easy example. People lose jobs. The horseless carriage, the automobile, people lose jobs. One industry goes to the next industry, right? Um, why wouldn't that apply here? Why wouldn't AI create new possibilities and new opportunities?
Sure, we don't have lamplighters anymore, right? And we can all agree that that's
Correct.
fine. Yeah. There's a difference with AI and some of our past technological revolutions, and one is in the pace of change, right? The Industrial Revolution took a full century to take hold and make transformations in our workforce, but we're looking at some pretty massive workforce changes over the next 5 years. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's something we need to stop, but it is something we need a plan for to make sure that our workforce is able to transition into new jobs and that those new jobs are there to provide work for people.
I think that's fair. Look, the world has changed. You know, a guy told me this 5 years ago, and I kind of, well, maybe. But about 5 years ago, a friend of mine that appears in this program said the world's going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in 10,000. And now that I'm hearing and seeing myself that is absolutely spot on me, and it's not me, I mean, I think he's right. And it comes to self driving cars, it comes to, look, I'll take it to the military aspect where Ukraine can attack with drones and destroy entire fleets of military aircraft in the blink of an eye. The monitoring of us. I mean, whether it's on this machine that I'm on here or my phone down here, I mean, the world is different today, Chris, than it was just 5 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as you're saying, we see the change in the economic data, right, which shows a
Sure.
deteriorating job situation for college grads. But we also have anecdotal evidence that AI is already impacting our workforce. And I'll give you just a couple examples. Meta recently announced that it's going to work to make all of its ads through AI on its platforms and provide users with a tool for that rather than going through an ad agency. There are also a lot of companies right now that are taking what's called an AI first approach to hiring. They look at a potential job, they ask themselves, can that job be done by AI? If it can, they aren't going to hire someone for it. If it can, then they'll consider bringing someone on. That's a lot different than the situation, 2 or 3 years ago, even.
So when I was a kid, we used to go to this place called Pinball Pete's. It was an arcade, whatever. And Pinball Pete's had this little French fry machine, right? And for 10 cents, you'd this French fry would come down and eat French fries. Where sometimes they'd be in the cup, sometimes they wouldn't. But what I'm getting at is AI now can create an entire meal for somebody. You push into da da da. You go to the kiosk. You don't need anybody. You don't need any person behind the counter. It can make the burger. It can put on your toppings. It can cook French fries. It ships it out. It's all wrapped up. The packaging department, and there it is. And so
Yeah.
people that had entry-level jobs don't have entry-level jobs anymore. You're exactly right about that.
Yeah, and it's not just entry level jobs, too. I mean, AI is increasingly taking more jobs in finance and coding. Specifically, that's where it's most advanced. This new technology is
Well, let
most
me ask you
advanced.
this, because what you say there makes me think, why am I going to need an accountant going forward? If I can take all my financial information, put it into an AI program that will find me every deduction without fail, and I'm not talking about the ones on the street corner, I'm talking about in my own computer, feed in all the information. Well, you might be a little risky here. Well, I'll be in the gray area. You can kind of adjust your risk factors, whatever it might be. Why would I need an accountant going forward? It's a
You may
serious
not,
question.
and you probably won't miss your accountant, and you might not miss your lawyer, right? But I think what's
I
concerning
won't
for
miss my lawyer, I'll tell you that.
I think what's
Anyhow,
concerning for everybody is if we see 12 million workforce transitions over the next 5 years, that's a huge number. And that's going to have economy-wide impacts if that many people are searching for a job. So I
yeah,
think some of the things that we're recommending right now is we need more data to really figure out what's going on. Is this AI that's impacting our workforce, and where are new skills and education needed for workers that are going to be forced to transition in their employment, right? Because right now
yeah.
we don't necessarily know what the future of work looks like.
Well, we're going to keep watching it, Chris, because it keeps going faster and faster and faster. We are George Jetson collectively, all of us, every single day. Really appreciate you being here. You come back anytime because this is fascinating stuff to me and the people listening. It's like, wow, I never even thought about doing that. All right, Chris, thank you
Thanks
so
so much,
much.
Steve. Appreciate it.
And apologies to Esquire Bob. Bob, I didn't mean anything by it. I just meant, if I can get by without the lawyer. I didn't mean anything personal, Bob. And Esquire Bob could be so sensitive. I'll be right back.